To say I'm disappointed in this boss fight is an understatement. Welcome back to the series where I normally play to struggle. Normally, that is. This is an outlier in my experience so far. So, to start us off in this chapter, after beating Orin, she vanishes into the darkness, and we linger on the thought of it, but ultimately still just leaves because she's tired and can't deal with it. We talk to Naomi about sleeping, and she gives us money to go to an inn while she literally flies to go to Syl to bother her some more. When walking to the place where we first woke up, we stumble across Orin, who is shocked to see us. We talk to her some more, saying that we're friendly, and she actually gives us valuable information about how to get to the next layer and more details about her friend that can potentially help us. She also talks about how Naomi took her in when she appeared on the second layer, on how they hung out a lot but couldn't after a certain point because Naomi got too popular. I would use the word infamous because she has mostly just been annoying with a lack of manners. But after we finish talking to her, we go to the inn where we sleep. And little Miss Manners is already inside our room. I don't know why, but Naomi's just an annoying character. We get mad at her for stalking us, but she was just quote unquote following us. She says she booked a wagon for us to travel to the place and get an ID for ourselves, and thus the journey truly begins. On the wagon, she talks about how she learned how to make burgers from Syl and proceeds to make something so disgusting that the wagon driver tells her to stop because the horses can't walk with the smell. She ignores his comment and forcefully feeds it to us, and we literally die because of it. When we wake up, we are at the frozen forest she talked about earlier, and we walk out to see our surroundings. Before long, we get lost in the storm and run into a woman who introduces herself as Iceland. She acts like a type of border control, I guess, and tells us we can't get through because we don't have an ID, and says that us having amnesia sounds really stupid. We force ourselves through, and this is where my issues with this fight comes. For each of the previous fights in my playthroughs, this one was just a bad one. To start off, her first attack, it is a little different from Syl's opening attack, but you can just use the same movement pattern to deal with it. For her second attack, it actually is just garbage. She traps us like in Syl's third attack and forces ice physics onto us. She throws a bunch of icicles that curve a bit. Since they're pretty big, we would have to focus on dodging the whole thing, right? No. The hitboxes on the icicles are actually bad. Instead of having a cone shape that matches the size, it's a square near the tip of it. I can literally walk through the thicker part of it after I dodge the tip of it. After those two complete disappointments, we get another disappointment. She fires a bunch of pellets from the top two corners at an actually random pattern, and every 2 to 3 seconds she fires an ice slash. This really upsets me because it lacks originality. The fast moving pellets are just a copy of Orin's final phase, and the slash that tracks literally just acts like Naomi's phase 3 special part. After some difficulty adjusting to it, I finish the boss and sound genuinely disappointed. Uh, are we being serious right now? Like, this is insane mode, right? But she isn't even difficult. Like, I'm sorry, I'm just like extremely disappointed right now. Let's see. Iceland, insane mode. Yeah, see, man, bro, I've only been recording for like an hour and I already beat it, bro. Okay, like, I'm just gonna be honest here, bro. Like, even though this boss is like really easy and like a bit difficult, it still doesn't really amount to much. Like, this really wasn't even that fun, bro. Don't get me wrong, some of this boss is interesting, but I feel like they didn't really make the boss like they did with the earlier ones. For each of the previous bosses we fought, they introduced something into the fight that actually made it enjoyable. Syl introduced the idea of limited movement, forcing us to adapt to what's coming to us instead of trying to find a safe space. Orin forced us to rely on instincts and our reaction instead of doing a recognizable pattern. Even Naomi introduced the idea of not stopping because we will take damage if we do. If you're trying to say that the ice physics acts like a hurdle, it only applies to the second phase of the fight, so it really isn't something we have to struggle on. The boss tries hard to be like other bosses, that it doesn't introduce any new gimmicks to us, or anything that helps us improve our previous ones, either. I feel like this part of the chapter, the developers ran out of ideas on what to do. This part just ruins the whole point of doing something insane because it felt like hard mode compared to the others. I feel like the developers should do a complete overhaul on to this boss because it really isn't difficult and tries to act like other bosses and fails to do so. I really hope that the developers will one day be able to do Iceland justice and hopefully the next boss fight won't be as disappointing as this. Hey, I just wanted to say I appreciate you for making it this far, and I would really like to ask you to subscribe if you enjoy my videos and find yourself coming back for more. This week, along the next 2 or 3, will be a double upload weeks, by the way. Anyways, goodbye, have a good day.